Blog Talk Radio.
It's Britney, bitch. I see you, and I just wanna dance with you. It's Britney, bitch.
Yeah, going off radio. We're on the air. This is Advanced Discussion. I'm your host, Aaron, and we have a very special guest on today's show. Starting off with our next guest, Elad from Israel. Welcome, Elad, to the Advanced Discussion program.
Hi there, Aaron.
Elad, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, I've been researching a lot about subject of secret societies, their occult beliefs, how they manifest in the political sphere and their influence in the political sphere. I also focus a lot about how they do so concerning Israel, or what their agenda is concerning Israel, or their forces within Israel. And I also give a lot of in-depth history of how they developed through the ages. And so I've been doing it for more than a decade now, daily, a very deep investigation with many books, also in the academy, talking to many people. And I have a website which was pretty much the first website in Israel talking about those subjects. And then after my website, several other, I would call surrogate websites started popping up with a New Age agenda, trying to talk about the same subjects, but from a New Age point of view, or a very kind of socialist point of view of class warfare, trying to take over the whole subject within the blogosphere. And for a while, hackers hacked into my website, took it down. I was able to get it back up again. They took it down again, many Trojan horse. But now the website is pretty much back up again, but I cannot update it, so I need to create a new website. But it's up. People can read it.
Elad, where were you educated, and roughly how old are you?
Well, first of all, I'm 27 years old. I've been, after high school and after a while in the army, I went to the university learning philosophy and math, and I'm still working on it, and I hope to begin my master's degree soon.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds really good. And, of course, for the listeners who haven't heard the first show, we put it up on YouTube. I was able to learn of Elad through Barry Chamish and the Barry Chamish Show. So special thank you to Barry and Tom, who do a great job at disseminating this sort of information worldwide. And so on that note, can we please pick it up, Elad, with this concept that Barry really wanted to get at on his show? Perhaps we can go a little bit deeper. This concept of the burnt offering and the Holocaust.
Well, for starters, people should notice. I actually came across this when I have many kind of, you can say, ancient books on archaeology and architecture from my grandfather, who left many books, which I just look into them from time to time. I don't really know Latin, but I started. There was one book which was into I think Catholicism or Christianity, and it talked about the temple of Jerusalem, the Solomon's temple, and talked about the different kind of offerings which were done in it. And one of them was it had even an illustration of a burnt offering, and in Latin it was written that it was called Holocaustus. And so that's where pretty much you can say the penny dropped, I was wondering, because that's pretty much the origin of the name Holocaust. So I was wondering why on earth would anyone? Because in Hebrew we don't call this what happened a Holocaust. We call it the Shoah, which is kind of a name for a genocide or some ethnic cleansing. But they call it Holocaust in English, and people know it as Holocaust, which the origin of this word is actually burnt offering. So right there, intricate in the language, you can already see that there is kind of an occult dimension to the whole talking about of the Holocaust and concerning the Jew. And of course, when you go into it and you start researching the roots of Nazism, it was all pretty much an occult of kind of sort of Gnosticism of the people of light against the people of darkness, and of course the Jewish morality represented to them the people of darkness and the morality of darkness, and pretty much lead. Lead is like in alchemy is referred to the lowest base metal, the most rough kind of metal, and which is it's pretty much you can say it deals with materiality, and so the burning of it, kind of like the burning of lead in alchemy, it's for the you could say the completion or the perfection of society by burning the lead and transforming society through it to some sort of gold, Aryan gold, or so really right there in the language you can see a very occult dimension to it. And I don't know, the question which arises afterwards is, why would a Jewish, for example, the ADL or the B'nai B'rith, okay, they always have something to say about anti-Semitic speech and everything. Why do they cooperate with such a thing? Why don't they point it out?
Excuse me, Elad. Thank you very much. That's a very good question, and that's a very interesting sentiment that's really underlying this. We're expecting another guest to call in, and I've got a couple people on the switchboard. I don't know which is which now. I'm a little bit confused. Please hold on. I'm going to go to you now. I'm looking for Mr. Bonjour. Let's see here.
All right, I'm here.
Okay. Ghost Zart, if you could please turn down the music. We'd like to have you on the show. We'll go to our another caller here, Jay. Let's see who this is. Hello, Jay. Welcome to your Gonob Radio Show.
Oh, hi. How you guys doing?
All right.
Hi.
Are you Mr. Bonjour from Israel?
No.
Okay. We're looking for him to call in right now. Thank you very much. We'll get to you just a little bit later on in the show if you want to call back. Okay. So, let's go back to see if this is... Mr. Bonjour, is that you? Okay. Anyways, sorry about that, Elad. We're expecting this other guest to call in, and so basically, please continue then. So,
all right.
You have the alchemy, that Middle Ages type of mindset, and this, so it's part of some sort of practice, occult practice, ceremony, and these are the elements involved, and that's the general thesis. And so they replaced the lead with Jews who are mostly not reformist Jews. Is that the case or not?
Oh, well, look, if you're talking about the Reformed Jew, it's this kind of, you can say, a New Age kind of Judaism. And, well, in my opinion at least, the German Nazis, I don't know if they distinguished much, but basically back then when I was talking about ADL or Benabris, not you can say criticizing the use of the word Holocaust. They do have a lot to do with Reform Judaism, and they were actually criticized by someone. Maybe you heard his name. He was a leader in one of the Jewish groups. His name was Rabbi Meir Kahane. Now, he used to say in his speeches. Now, he was murdered, of course, by a so-called, I would say, quote-unquote, Al-Qaeda operative, but that already shows that people wanted, the kind of, the establishment wanted him quieted. And so he would always criticize B'nai B'rith and the ADL. He would say, all of you go and you protest for against apartheid in Africa and for causes around the world. When have you ever protested for Jews? Where were you during the Holocaust? Why didn't you go to the White House, say, hey, ho, we won't go bomb Auschwitz? He would criticize them all the time exactly about this point. Where were they? Why do they protest all the time, for all those liberal causes, for causes around the world? But when it comes to really what Jews need, they're not there.
Exactly. No, Meir Kahane was a great activist, I think, and it's unfortunate that him and his son paid the ultimate price.
Absolutely.
And that's all. So, okay. Continuing on then, in this line of thinking, where do you go from here? Is this system that's in place now adequate to resist the threats to Zionism, to the state of Israel as it stands now?
Well, that's a good thing, because I really wanted to dedicate a few minutes to it. I wanted to inform people that since Obama took office, he did much more, trying to overthrow the democratically elected government in Israel than trying to do anything to deal with the Iranians. The sanctions which he put now are kind of pressure he got from the elections. But, for example, there were many, liberal Jewish lobbies like J Street, which was founded by money seed from George Soros, who objected at first sanctions against Iran. And this is not exclusive to Obama. George Bush, here's something people don't really know or talk about in the conspiracy movement around the world concerning Bush and the neocons. Bush and the neocons took down Saddam Hussein and cleared the way for Iran to take over Iraq. They took down the Taliban and cleared the way for Iran to take over Afghanistan, and they took away Israel from Gaza for Iran to start putting their footprint in Gaza next to Israel with their proxy groups. So, and again, each leader Bush reinstated in Iraq and Afghanistan was a very close and connected leader to the Iranian regime. So all of this WWF, we're going to take down Iran, or Iran talks down to the United States, there seems to be more collaboration, because people kind of forget that without the help of Iran, the United States, Bush would have a lot more difficult times taking down the Taliban. The Taliban was a big enemy of Iran, and Saddam Hussein was a big enemy of Iran, and they helped America to take down Saddam as well. They talked about it in speeches at the United Nations, how they should collaborate. And today suddenly, try to portray Iran as the big enemy when they collaborated all that time. And so for now, and that of course without mentioning how Carter helped Ayatollahs take over Iran, when he said, the Carter regime said that the Ayatollah will be the so-called Gandhi of the Middle East. A total lie. Same thing Obama did with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. So many things are happening which kind of, I would say, if you ask me why they do it, why is Iran becoming stronger? Well, it doesn't only threaten Israel. It kind of also threatens other Arab countries around, like Saudi Arabia and the whole Sunni movement. People don't tend to talk about the Sunni-Shia fight. They've been fighting for thousands of years, have nothing to do with Jews, their fight. And so when you have a strong Iran and maybe a nuclear Iran, that forces Israel to start to collaborate in union with the other Arab groups and maybe even take in a peace process which might be suicidal to us. But, it's kind of holding us blackmailed. So a lot of things are going on. Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, that's a really good point, Elad. I mean, the Shah of Iran was the biggest ally to Israel on a relative basis, and Carter allowing the Ayatollah through his mismanagement to get the Arab Spring going in 1979, which Ahmadinejad was part of the student group, but he bowed out at the hostage taking. He actually was part of that group that took the hostages in 79, but when he learned of that plan, he was against it, and he washed his hands of that group there. So let's be clear on that, and I think what you're saying has a lot of merit. All right, I'm trying to get our other guests in here. The switchboard is a little bit jammed. I'm going to you, Daniel. Let's see.
Hello.
Okay, caller, you're on the line here on Golden Radio. Is this Mr. Bonjour?
Yes, this is.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, please join the conversation here with Elad Pressman, also from Israel. Please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself there, Daniel.
Well, I would just like to say, from what I've heard today, this is just a load of crap. Honestly, I've never heard so much shit. Seriously.
Okay.
What are you guys talking about?
Okay. You want to explain yourself a little bit? Okay, I didn't quite understand what this was about then. I guess it's kind of is that Mr.? I don't have a user. I'm just kind of, okay, I don't know what's going on there. I'm not getting another guest on. I guess I'm getting a crank on that one. Apologize to you, Elad, on this situation.
Yeah.
I'm in communication with our other guests via email. Let me just say that I can't get your call. All right, so, maybe we'll do another show for Mr. Bonjour because having trouble here. Sorry, Elad, okay. Would you please continue then? So, it's interesting how things are developing in Jordan and the Sinai right now. I really think the threat to Israel lies south and southeast, and they're too overly focused on an enemy that in Iran, I mean, what the mullahs obviously, in the offspring of the Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini, but I really see the Israel in a Muslim vice, as I call it now, being squeezed, and with the cleric of Morsi, who was educated in San Diego, California. I see that what's escapes me now, but the cleric calling for a march on Jerusalem to take it back from the infidels.
Not only him, also one of Obama's advisors, Samantha Powers. She spoke about an invasion of Israel by international forces, or creating a mammoth kind of force, as she said, to instill order into Israel. That's a very top official advisor to Obama. And, it's amazing to see how Obama talked about democracy in Egypt and don't worry about the Muslim Brotherhood, it'll be fine. And today, Christians are just being massacred in Egypt after the election of the Muslim Brotherhood. And Obama still, talks about democracy in Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, be careful with your democracy, because you might not get what you expect. which is the Democratic movement has really caught on.
That. You know, I think he's a very smart person. I think he expected that. I think that. Yeah.
No, I mean, he obviously, the president has Muslim leanings. He likes to tout it as a positive. In other words, he's not antagonistic to the Muslims. He could reach out with one hand to the Muslims and then reach out to another hand to the Jews in Israel and hope to broker some sort of peace.
Well, there are forces within Israel who see with him eye and eye. But what I think they see now, pretty much the elite in every establishment, what they see, they are very into, for example, they're trying to push agreements for a Mediterranean Union, which is kind of an expansion of the European Union. But I think what they see are trying to do with it is that they see that the most organized and strongest force around here is the Muslim Brotherhood. If they want to make some sort of union, okay, because the Islamic states within themselves are very, very fractioned and balkanized. But a very good and organized force, according to their point of view, would be the Muslim Brotherhood. They're very organized. They have much power within, the people. And so I think they just try to see it, as what's more efficient to the area. Not really minding what the consequences would be, but would be more efficient, for a more integrated area.
Well, it's Bidey. That's who I'm trying to come up with the name. Morsi's cleric is Bidey, and he's calling for a retaking of Jerusalem from the infidels. So once the clamp is firmly in place with the fall of Jordan and King Abdullah being sent packing into exile, and that's just a question of time now as far as I'm concerned. I'm one of the few people that saw this whole move in the south coming while the Netanyahu was focusing his attention to the north with Syria and Iran. The south came about, and it's a serious threat. And of course, also you have the African migrant issue, which
well, this is exactly the same thing going in the United States. I mean, the whole immigrants, illegal immigrants coming in, this is a part of creating pretty much the NAFTA. I mean, it's creating a more integration between Mexico and America, eliminating the border. So this is the same kind of an attack on Israel. And every time Israel tries to defend itself from these are illegal immigrants. So the United Nations come in with their human rights councils that is run by dictators. Like, for example, Gaddafi was once the head of the Human Rights Council of the United Nations, right? And they say, oh, Israel, those are refugees. You can't treat them, you can't, close the borders to them. That's inhumane. But they're not saying that those illegal immigrants, they go all the way from North Africa to the Middle East. They're not immigrants. Immigrant is from one country to another. They're going through several countries to get here to find, better jobs. I don't blame them. But, they're pretty much trying to flood Israel with all of those illegal immigrants. And what happens is, for now, they're building a wall between us and the Sinai Peninsula. But what you said before about Morsi and one of his cleric talking, he's saying it about taking back Jerusalem. Well, again, I don't think America or the New World Order forces want to see Jerusalem in Egypt's hands, but they want to create a pretext for making Jerusalem an international area. So they need to create the conflict. They need a conflict to have an outcome of what they seek, which is creating Jerusalem as an international spiritual place of the New World, which will, it's kind of an ancient revenge that when Rome was the international spiritual center of the world, and they tried to go after the Gnostics and all those groups which are today creating the New World, as their revenge, they always talked throughout the ages of making Jerusalem the center of the spiritual world. not because of Jews or the Gnostics hate the Jews more than even Catholics because they see the God of the Bible as the devil. But making Jerusalem the center of the spiritual place of the New World Order, they need a pretext. That's what I'm saying. Just another thing I wanted to talk about Iran. You see, the guy who inspected their weapons program was Muhammad al-Baridi, who is a member of the crisis group of George Soros. And he said, there is no worry, don't worry about the weapons program. Up until 2009, he was the inspector for the United Nations. And, many people knew that's not the case, but, he took the pressure down. And then afterwards, he helped bring in the revolution in Egypt. And again, he's working in the crisis group, which is dealing with crisis management of people like Soros, Brzezinski, and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, basically, they've created a Frankenstein, the Muslim Brotherhood, and can they actually control it? Maybe they can. But I think you may have a point there. That's where this may ultimately be going. And I think the Christians would agree with what you're talking about, and the Jesuits would probably go along with that and everything. But the thing is that this new modern Muslim fundamentalism, which has swept through the region, and where Sunni and Shia governments are working together, maybe not necessarily the people, the masses can get along, but the governments seem to be working together at this point under this common new age Muslim, where they combine fundamentalist beliefs with modern capitalist democratic machinations, and so it's very formidable, really. And so the
about
thing
the
is,
Muslim Brotherhood, what you say, there are two things which actually support what you say. First of all, they have been talking for a while how to integrate Shias into their movements. For a long time, they've been talking about it. And second of all, I lost my point.
It's okay. Collect yourself for one moment. I think we have another person here on the switchboard. I don't know if this is Mr. Bonjour or not. We'll find out. Okay, we're going to you, Cream Pop. You're on the air, Cream Pop. Who is this, please?
Hi, yes, this is actually Yosef Yom Tov, which is actually Mr. Bonjour in French.
Okay. Thank you for coming. I've been trying to find you here on the switchboard for quite a while. I'm sorry that we had this trouble. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe something what you want to talk about.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. What I'm doing is promoting a global change. People understand that Jerusalem is a spiritual center as well as a geographic center, and to think that global change can come from Jerusalem is not far-fetched. And the change that I'm talking about is the change that is promised in the Bible. It is the hope of Jews, the hope of Christians, and the hope of Rastafari and the children of Africa in the diaspora all over the world who are yearning for justice and respect. So there I've said quite a mouthful. And the name of the movement in Hebrew is called Lemala, which means upwards in English, or uppåt in Swedish. It's universal to the human heart, in that we all want to go upwards. As you know, one of the main political parties here in Israel is called Kadima, which is forward. And in a sphere, going forward means you're going in circles.
Okay, Elad, first off, I'm really happy to have you on the show. I wish we could have got you on earlier. Elad, what do you say to what he's talking about there?
I think that the challenges which Israel is facing today is pretty much on the cutting edge of the challenges which every other country on Earth will have to face sooner or later, because we're facing it now. All of the pressures which are being put on Israel, those challenges, if Israel will be able to overcome them in a peaceful way, then I think that would set precedent to the rest of the world. So really, what's going on in Israel is in my opinion, pretty much is what's going on here first will affect the rest of the world in the ways which we deal with them. Because, for example, the immigration, there's the same problems going on in Europe. They want to know how to integrate them or how to deal with them. We're already facing this problem. We're in it. So the eyes of many groups are looking to us to see how we're dealing with it.
Yeah, if I may say something about that, he's absolutely right. The revolution that is going to happen in Israel is going to change the whole world. It will go global. When we free, for instance, our marijuana prisoners and our drug prisoners, and we eliminate the war on drugs and use that money to give incentives for people not to use drugs, then the rest of the world is going to be compelled to free their prisoners worldwide. You can see hundreds of thousands of prisoners freed worldwide once we free our prisoners and shame the world into doing the right thing. That's just an example of the global ramifications that are going to happen once Israel wakes up. That's all that's required. My website, one of them is called wakeupzion.com. Wake Up Zion was an inspiration to one of the political parties here in Jerusalem, which, of course, the secret societies, if they can't control you, they copy what you do and try to take the wind out of your sails.
Absolutely.
And so one of the political parties here is called Wake Up in Jerusalem. People who are understanding know that Jerusalem and Zion mean the same thing. Zion is simply the center of Jerusalem where God's dwelling is. Jerusalem is the entire city. And so my Wake Up in Jerusalem, or my Wake Up Zion, is being responded to by Wake Up in Jerusalem. My revolution movement, which I announced in 2010, and it began in 2011 in the Arab world. I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but if you look at the world as a biological organism, which it is, the stones are alive, the air is alive, the water is alive, and if you look at it that way, and Jerusalem being the heart of the world, and you have a lot of faith and belief, and you're sitting in the heart of the world, shaking it up and telling people the truth and exposing the lies, then it's got to have an effect. And so when I announced a revolution in Jerusalem that will go global in 2010, announced it on radio, put it on a YouTube website, it began in the Arab world. And people stopped looking at me as if I was crazy. Here I am standing in the farmer's market in Jerusalem, Israel, at the Shuk, the busiest place in all of Israel, really, and I'm holding up a flag declaring a global revolution that is going to begin in Africa. And because my understanding of justice, I want justice for Israel, I want justice for Jerusalem, and I know that in order for me to get justice, I have to give justice to somebody else who needs it more than I do. And who needs justice more than the Jewish people or more than Israel and Jerusalem? Well, the black people do. And so I connected those dots together and understood that justice for black people has to come from Jerusalem. And it makes all the sense in the world that God is a God of justice and that there has been an injustice being perpetrated against Africa and the children of Africa worldwide. I mean, Jews had it bad. We were spread across the world, Israel destroyed by the Romans, scattered for 2,000 years. Well, look at the black people. They've been taken as slaves and spread out all over the world. Even the Haitians hate Haiti. I mean, if you think about it, if you're born in Haiti and you're black, you're wondering, what am I even doing here? And so I understand that the cities of the world, that the wealth of the world, that the luxuries that we all benefit from, much of that comes from the injustice that has been perpetrated on the continent of Africa, and going to propel the revolution globally. Because if you think about it, Jerusalem is the heart of the world, but Africa is the head. It's even called the skull-shaped continent. It's called the skull-shaped continent like a human head. And so in a body like the human body.
I'm sorry, Yosef, you're breaking up there in your connection. But, geez, I wish I could have gotten both you guys on right from the get-go here. We have to have you back on next Sunday night. You guys have a lot of good stuff to say. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. Elad, what do you have to say to what he's talking about?
That was dealing with a lot of more spiritual subjects, I might add. But it pretty much resembles what I just said before. And actually, he was talking about revolution in Israel. There was an attempt for a revolution in Israel. It's not the one he's talking about. Another one which started not in Zion, not in Jerusalem, started in Tel Aviv. You can say Tel Aviv is like the mirror version of Jerusalem. If Jerusalem is more connected to the morality of the monotheistic religions, then Tel Aviv is more nihilistic, more Sabbatean, I would have to add. So the revolution which started there, an attempt for a revolution. First of all, it started in July 14, the day of the French Revolution. The name of the organization afterwards of this attempt of revolution, they created a networking around here. They called themselves J14 because of the French Revolution. They brought in a statue of a guillotine to this. They put many. It was an attempt for a color revolution. They put in many tents on Rothschild Boulevard, and they brought in the statue of the guillotine, and the money, much of the money came from American organization connected to the CIA. For example, one of the major funders was Daniel Abrams. He's a big billionaire, made his money from Slim Fast, very well connected to Bill Clinton. He's a manager in many of the New World Order organizations like the Shimon Peres Peace Center. And Ford Foundation was into it, and I don't think I need to add more about the Ford Foundation and their Illuminati agenda. And so that was, for example, as I said before, an attempt by the Obama administration to make a political change within Israel. Their slogan was social justice, which pretty much means socialism. And there are many hardcore communists over there trying to push it up until today. They're creating pressure from below for other think tanks around here, funded by the same groups, which provide the pressure from above. But basically, so people can go into it. I talked a lot about it in Chamis' show. There was this kind of an attempt. I guess people heard about it already, and it's a part of this whole, networking of the Occupy movement that was also in America. The Occupy movement is 100% New World Order operation. People want to know all about it. All they have to do, pick up a book written like 20, 30 years ago called The First Global Revolution by the Club of Rome. Everything is already planned there. Absolutely.
That's a good one. Okay, let's get Yosef to comment on that.
Well, thank you. I actually wanted to mention, I'm glad that I heard Elad made the connection, because I hadn't heard it before, and yet it smelled so much of it, is that all the Occupy movements began here in Israel. They began as the tent city movements here in Israel, and you could see them by the exact same movement. You have no clear leader. You have no clear demand. You have a laundry list of demands that will never be met. And that's the whole strategy of the movement here in Israel, and it was the exact same strategy of the Occupy movement. And actually, I did a revolution at the revolution here when they had a demonstration in Jerusalem. I put my name on the list. I waited in line, and within 10 seconds of me speaking, the goons came and tried to take the microphone from me. And if you've seen any of my videos, I don't let police tell me what to do with guns, and I certainly wasn't going to let these two guys take the microphone from me. And I announced to the crowd that these two people are bונים Chofshim, which is Freemason in Hebrew, and that they were
Many of them are. I can tell you for sure, many of their strategy planners are B'nai Bris, are people from Masonic organizations in Israel, like the Von Leer Institute, like the Minerva Institute. The Minerva Institute, they had they made many kind of drills and many workshops on how to make this kind of sort of so-called revolution, and they're called the Minerva Institute. Minerva is and they have the owl as their symbol. The Illuminati, their first initiators, they're called Minervals. Their symbol is the owl of Minerva. And again, using the French Revolution symbols. If you can read their symbols, you can already see their agenda. And as I said, they tried to start the revolution in Tel Aviv, not in Jerusalem, because they are they're post-Judaism, post-Zionism. They're not into it. They're into this, anyway, as I said, they're into the Occupy global movement, not true change, but the oligarchy of the New World Order setting the stage.
Yeah, I tell you the interesting thing about my perspective is I grew up in San Francisco, and most of these people who are in absolute control are also high-level secret society Masonic members from San Francisco who have second homes here in Jerusalem. The train here, when it goes ding ding, it sounds like the San Francisco train. They've brought a lot of ambiance here from San Francisco. You've heard the song Californication?
Sure.
Well, sure.
That's the Californizing of the whole world. And California culture is not driven by Hollywood, it's driven by San Francisco. To get a little bit spiritual on you, the Bible has a recurring theme. And one of the recurring themes in the Bible is the culture. It's a negative term. You come from the culture of Sodom and Gomorrah. You come from the fields of Sodom and Gomorrah. And that example is said all throughout the Bible. And the reason for that is San Francisco is the global culture. One thing that's also talked about consistently in the Bible is a global political monetary system, and that's Babylon. That's why Rastafari music cries for the fall of Babylon, because Babylon is built upon the injustice of Africa. And then the global religion you hear all over and over again in the Bible, and you can see all around you, like the Washington Monument, is Egypt. Egypt is the global religion. You see the Osiris is the symbol of justice. You see the pentagram, which is the Star of Mendes. All of these are Egyptian symbolisms that are found in every power structure everywhere in the world, including from the Vatican to Washington, D.C., including here in Israel.
And the Supreme Court in Israel as well.
Right. The obelisk here is supposed to be a monument to the heroes of Israel. It is a flip in the face to the heroes of Israel, literally.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got about a minute and a half. We've got to do this again. This was really getting good right now, and the show's almost over. Yosef, please send me your
Best way to end the show.
Yeah, please. The San Francisco Bay Area connection, I'm totally with it. I'm from there, too. So, listen, we got to do this again. We've got to hit this and really get this down. Yosef, please send me your website address. I'll include it in the show description here. Elad, thank you very much for coming on the show. Yosef, thank you very much for coming on the show. And I just got an email from Alan Watt. I don't know if he's listening to the show or not. I don't know if either of you gentlemen have heard of Alan Watt before, but he said he he finally, he's very aloof. He returned my message just right now, and he said he's happy to come on the show, and he's very much into this kind of thing that we're talking about. So, really good, gentlemen. Please come back on the show, and I think we can all learn a lot from both of you.
All right, thank you very much, Aaron.
The pleasure. Okay, well, this has been your advanced discussion here on GoNob Radio. Thank you very much.